Okay, so again, the front side of our note sheet, we're not going to complete. It's just review. So we're going to cross that out. We're going to flip our note sheet over to the back side. And on the right-hand column, Cody, start writing, please. On the right-hand side, you're going to list your notes or your steps for how to use the MA to factor, So step 1, determine the M and the A. Do not just write that part down. Also be sure to show M you get by taking the first coefficient, this little star looking thing means to times the third coefficient. You find the A by just looking to determine what the second coefficient is. Remember, coefficient just means it's another word for the number of a term. So like if I had 23a squared, the coefficient of that would be 23. Step 2 is what you guys learned to do on Monday. You're going to find the numbers that multiply to M and then add to get A. Step 3 is going to be our new step. We're going to write the areas in each of those boxes using the numbers from step 2 for the top right and bottom left box. Be sure to put that part in. It is, I know, I get it. Step 4. This fourth step, you guys know how to do, but it's just going to be something a little new. You're going to factor the top row of the rectangles using the greatest common factor. Then the final step is to complete the model. Okay, so with these notes, it's like a recipe. You're going to refer back to it when you get stuck and you don't know what you're supposed to do, okay? So it's going to be real important that you have these. So if you don't have these down now, make sure you either go back to Google Classroom to get it or you get it copied down from me or a classmate at a later time.
Give me like 4 seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1. You're welcome. Okay, so here we go. Here's our new stuff. So example number 3, because we skipped example 1 and 2 because we didn't want to have to worry about doing review stuff. So we're just working on the back side of our sheet. That front side is not.
The very last one.
No, it's not.
Oh! On here it is.
Oh, hold on. I lied.
Don't!
Why would you say that? Because we skipped the front side. And you have to learn the whole lesson. If you weren't on review, everyone else would say something.
Hold on. Give me a second.
Miss Lydia.
Can you guys stop? Stop complaining. Give me just a second. We're all okay.
Just out of order.
10F. I'm missing one of the 10. Okay, so what we're going to do, that first example there, where it says 10e squared plus 23e plus 6,
What is it?
that's not on my slides. I don't know why it's not on my slides. So put a star on that first page, or that first example per se. Yep, on the back. So that first spot, put a star. We're going to come back to that. I don't know why it's not on my slides. I just tripped on my own feet. Okay, so what we're going to look at, now that I know where we're at here, what we're going to look at is the second example on your page. So where it has the blank boxes, then it has 10f squared plus 19f plus 6. That's where we're going to start, okay? All right. Sorry about the confusion. Now, if you look at your notes, step 1 says determine the M and determine the A. So, Kaylon, how do I determine the M?
Do the first coefficient. Oh, what is that? What is that? You do the first coefficient.
What about it? Can somebody help him out?
Do you do that?
We do not know how to do this.
How do I find the M? You should have it in your notes. It should tell you because I told you to write down exactly what it said.
Oh, okay.
Determine the M. How do I find the M?
First coefficient.
Yes, there.
I see that.
So, the lesson, the moral of that little lesson there was make sure the notes that you write are adequate and that you can read them. So to find the m, you're going to take the first coefficient and multiply it by the third coefficient. Again, coefficient just means the number. So you're going to take the number 10 times 6, and that gets you 60. All right, AJ, how do I find the A? What is the A? So the A is just the second coefficient, which is 19. Okay, now, once I find the M, once I find the A, I have to determine what I can multiply together to get 60 and add together to get 19. I do that by thinking of my factor pairs of 60. So I'm going to write that right underneath and find what works. So 1 times 60 is 60. 1 plus 60 is 61. Will that get me to 19?
No.
No. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep going. 2 times what gets me to 60? 30. Will 2 plus 30 get me to 19?
Nope.
So that doesn't work. 3 times what gets me to 60?
20.
3 plus 20, does that equal 19? No. Can I do 4 times something to get me to 60?
15.
Okay. 4 plus 15, does that get me to 19?
Yeah.
Yes. So once I find my M and A, my MA, my numbers, I stop.
That's 28.
I'm not going to keep writing all the unnecessary factor pairs, so I just stop. So that brings me to step number 2. Oh, sorry, step number 3. It says now we're going to write the MA, the numbers that make up my MA, in the top right and bottom left box. If you choose to write your bigger number up here, you'll still get a right answer. Your answer will just be reversed from what I come up with. So again, I recommend that you use your smaller number in your top right and your bigger number in your bottom left. So for my top right number, what am I putting in? 4, because it's my smaller number. And my bottom left, 15. So now I'm going to continue by writing the rest of my areas in. Because if you remember from our opener, this number here is made up of the 4 and the 15. Okay? So, what's my first area going to be? 10 what? Now, if this 4 and 15 make up my second coefficient or my second term, what variable needs to be with it? Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and plug that F in with the 4 and that F in with the 15. Then what's the area of my last rectangle going to be? 6. Okay, so I've done step 1, I've done step 2. I've completed step 3. So now I'm at step 4. Step 4 tells me use the greatest common factor to factor my top row of my rectangle. So you're going to find the greatest common factor for 10f squared and 4f. So you can do that in 2 ways. One, you can come over to the left and do factor trees for 10 and 4. Or you can think to yourself, 10 and 4, what's the largest number or the biggest number that both 10 and 4 can be divided by? It is 2. It is 2. Now, if you factored it out using your factor trees, you'd also see that it's 2. Now, what variable do they both use? F. The greatest common factor, if you remember from last week, becomes our height. So for my top row, that's the only place I'm focused on right now. I know my height and I know my area. So I'm going to have 2f times something, 2f times something, because now I'm ready to find my width. Okay? So 2f times what gets me to 10f squared?
Just again, make sure 5, 8.
Okay? So if that's my width, I'm going to come and bring it to the top. What else should I do with it? Once I bring it to the top, I should also go ahead and bring it on down to my second rectangle. So does the width go first or second? I'm going to ask you guys that for a long time. Okay, so now I come to Because 2 times what gets me to 10?
Oh, I see a
There we
five
go.
at the top.
Okay, so now I come to my second width. 2F times what gets me to 4F? 2. So that's my width of my second rectangle. If that's my width up here, it's also my width down there.
Wait, say that 2.
Just 2. So now I have my top. My top's all filled out, right?
Yep.
So I come to my bottom. What am I looking for my bottom?
Your width.
No,
I mean,
height.
The height, right? Everything's all confused now. So here I just think, what times 5F gets me to 15F? If I plug in 3 for 2, will that equal 6? So is my height 3? So then I show that it's 3. Now this example here, I provided where we put our answers. So remember, area equals height times width. So what's my height? What's my height?
2L.
Plus
3.
times
5L.
plus 2.